Hi there! In this demo, we'll take a closer look at the responder chain in iOS. First, let's create an iOS app, a single view application. I call it responder chain demo. Language is Swift, alright. And here we go. Our app is very simple. It has a storyboard with a single view controller and an AppDelegate. The AppDelegate inherits from UI responder. The UI responder is an abstract class which declares a couple of methods and properties related to event handling and propagation. I'm going to clean up our AppDelegate first because it has a lot of boilerplate code, and to demonstrate you how this message handling works, I'm going to override one of the UI responder methods. Let's choose one, touches began, just for the sake of this example. I'm going to simply display a message to the console which will prove that this method was indeed invoked. Alright, let's run the code. Now, if I tap on the screen, the console shows that indeed the AppDelegate touches began was invoked. Now, the AppDelegate is the last responder which receives events. This app has only one view controller. Its main view receives the touch events first. I can prove this by overriding the touches began method of the UI view class. I'm going to do this in the view controller, but instead of subclassing the UI view, I'm going to rely on a Swift language feature called type extensions. Type extensions are a convenient way to enhance a class without modifying its original source code. You declare a type extension using the extension keyword, then we type in the class name, which is UI view in this case, and I'm going to override the UI responder touches began method. As usual, I'm going to just print a console log which identifies the class, UI view, and the method. Let's rerun the code. The result shows that the UI view instance received the event. Note that the AppDelegate's touches began method was not called. Why? The reason is that the UI view object handled the touch event. The event is not forwarded to the next responder in the chain. We can fix that. I'm going to call the method on the next item in the responder chain. Just pass in the touches and also the event. Note how I use optional chaining to call the method on the next instance, which might be nil. This is a convenient way to call a method or access a property of an optional value without unwrapping it. If the value is nil, the call won't occur and we won't have an exception or any kind of error either. Alright, let's run the code. And here we go. Now the UI view is called twice. That's because one of the UI views is actually the UI window, but more on this in a second. And the AppDelegate touches began method was also invoked. However, there are further responders in the chain between the first responder main view and the AppDelegate instance. The view passes the event to its view controller first. So let's override the touches began method also in the view controller. I'm going to borrow the code from the UI view extension. If I run the project and tap the UI, once we have the simulator up and running, we'll see that the UI view touches began was called, then the UI view controller touches began, Then there is a mysterious UI view again, and finally the AppDelegate. Now this second UI view is actually the UI window instance. In order to show you that it's indeed the UI window, I'm going to use the same approach as I used for the UI view. Instead of subclassing the UI window class, I'm just going to extend it using a type extension. The rest is the same. Let's just use the code and change to UI window. Alright, let's rerun the app. Now we can see how the event is propagated through the responder chain. Based on our experiment, we saw that the main view received the event first. Next comes the UI view controller, which forwards the touch event to the UI window object. And finally, the AppDelegate also receives the event. The responder chain changes as we add new subviews or controls. Each subsequent superview in the hierarchy can handle the event or pass it to the next responder. By overriding the corresponding UI responder methods, you can change the default behavior just like I did in this example.